Right, it is time for Friday Reads. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm super excited to be here today and to share with you my Friday Reads video. In my Friday Reads videos, I shared the books that I finished, the books that I started, and anything interesting I'm carrying over week to week. I don't have a carryover to talk about, but I am generally really trying to work on all of the books I am currently reading, or a selection at a time of the books that I'm currently reading, because I am still in the very high numbers right now. I think I'm at 29. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Anyway, and I didn't do a Friday Reads last week, so sorry about that. I was not feeling up to it, and I haven't been feeling the best. I'm starting to feel a little bit better, which is nice, but it's still frustrating to not feel 100%, but you know, it happens. So I've been sharing some videos from the vault, which I hope people have enjoyed, some older reviews and some tags. The tags were not that old, but I think I'm out of tags. So if you have any tags, or if you've tagged me in something and I haven't done it, let me know. Or if there's any tags you'd like to see me do, feel free to let me know. I always like having a couple tags in the vault, and I like having videos in the vault just in case this happens. That's one of the reasons why I do them. I do have a plan to release the last set of videos. I think there's 5 more. They're all reviews, and I've been plotting out my December, and I got excited about something, and then I got really excited about something, and then I got like, oh, the realistic part of my brain was kind of like, I don't know. So anyway, we'll see what happens. So I am plotting and planning, and hopefully it'll all turn out well, whatever I end up deciding to do, which I haven't quite decided, so not going to get into that. Anyway, let's start with the books that I finished, and first up, I finished this trio of books that are all Canadian poetry. We have Hold the Note by Domenico Capilongo, Night Eater by Patricia Young, and Something Small to Carry Home by Milman. I picked all of these up at Bookends, I think 2 years ago, and they're all by Quattro Press. And they are all Canadian poetry, and yes, I am trying to get my numbers up. I am loosely trying to get to 366 titles by the end of the year, which would be a title a day. I don't know why I want to achieve that. I never tend to do that. Like, I think my Goodreads goal was like 120, so 10 bucks a month. So, but I just hit over 300, so now it feels like maybe it's possible. Anyway, I enjoyed these. I think not that I need to pick favorites, but Night Eater by Patricia Young was definitely my favorite. Very, very powerful work. Has the most post-its, and I really enjoyed it. Poetry is something I want to get a little bit more into. Hold the Note by Domenico Capilongo. This one was very music-centric, specifically jazz. I think mostly, specifically jazz. And I love music, but jazz is not something I'm a huge fan of, and I always feel weird saying that. Like, it feels so uncultured to say that, but there's some that I like, but sometimes not so much. So I don't know, but I don't know a heck of a lot about jazz, so I am not the person to go to for that. But I think this is definitely one that the more you love and appreciate music, the more you would love and appreciate the work. For me, one of the things I liked was there was a nice rhythm to it, and often the poems were set up in different, like I don't know how you would describe that. I do not. Okay, maybe not often. That's the only one I see. Oh no. Have different. I think of it as a rhythm, but I'm sure it's something else. I would like to learn more about poetry and the structure of poetry, because I feel like sometimes when I'm reading it, I don't get it. Like, sometimes I can hear the rhythm of the words, and other times I mostly feel like what I get from poetry is an emotional response to what the poet is sharing. So, and I definitely felt like that with this one, Something Small to Carry Home. This was very emotional. So Canadian poetry, yay. These I actually, don't get mad, these I actually unwrapped. I didn't do a video for them. I just wanted some short works, so I unwrapped them. So, sorry. Potentially more on that later. Don't get your hopes up, but maybe something might happen. I don't know. I shouldn't have said that. Pretend I didn't say that. Let's move on. Okay, I finally finished The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle. So this was my last book to read for the Halloween Creature Feature Reading Extravaganza, which was to read a work by an author of color that's a cosmic or Lovecraftian work. And this definitely is. It's a response to, and I couldn't, when I looked this up, I couldn't believe it. What are the chances? Actually, I know the chances. The chances are 1 in 63. This is a response to, I'm not sure the actual title, Something at Red Hook, which is the only Lovecraft story I didn't read. When I read all of the works of Lovecraft, I skipped this one because I read them chronologically, and I found I was starting to notice the xenophobia, or really racism in it. And so I started to look into that a bit more, and it looks like, I think Red Hook, I can't remember the title, I'll list it down below, that one is considered the most racist. And so I looked at Goodreads reviews, and I was like, I just can't do it. So I skipped that one. Out of all of the 63 short works, that's the one I skipped, and this is the one that it's a response to. So just seriously. Anyway, but back to The Ballad of Black Tom. I'm surprised. This one, I thought it took me longer to read than I did. It took me 2 weeks, which is a fair amount of time for a novella. It's quite dark. It's challenging. It has that cosmic Lovecraftian thing that it's unnerving, and things are unusual, and you don't really understand what's going on, but it's really evocative and strange and bizarre. So it really, got that energy really, really well. And it did quite directly talk about race. And so that was really, it was really interesting to see that taken head on in a story that's in response to a Lovecraft story. Of course, I'm missing the piece of not reading what it's responding to, but still, I think it reads pretty strongly, and I enjoyed it. Enjoy is a little tough because the story is a little tough, but I was very engaged when I was reading it, and I was very curious as to what would happen next, and I was not sure what was going to happen next. So that was really interesting, and so that I'm really glad that I finally finished that. Also, in the land of works where I'm not sure how I feel about, I'm talking more about Lovecraft as opposed to The Ballad of Black Tom, but I finally finished The Warlord of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs. This is the third in the Barsoom series. I've been very slowly working my way through this series. I was hoping to finish it by the end of the year. Not gonna happen. This is the third book, and there's 11. So this is also the John Carter series, John Carter of Mars, that kind of stuff. I think more people are familiar with the film, perhaps, than the book series. And so John Carter is an American, but he's on Mars, and it's adventure stories. It's sci-fi fantasy-ish, but I find they're mostly adventure stories, and what I like about them is often the descriptions of the locations, the descriptions of the creatures. But in this one, they're really there's two challenges I find with the works. One is the gender dynamics, which is, I find disappointing because I felt like the first one, although it was present, I thought I really enjoyed the female character in it, or characters. There's two, but there's one. This one, not so much. I did not enjoy the gender dynamics very much. I will, in my Goodreads review, I say very specifically what I was frustrated with, but I don't want to go into it because it's very much a spoiler. So, but I was frustrated with that. And then also with this one, I am not sure how I feel about how it portrays, or if it is commentary on race, because it's there's the red men and the green men and the yellow men and the black men, and I just of Mars, they're all of Mars, and I'm just kind of I don't know how I'm feeling about this, so I'm not sure what to do about the series, because I like the adventure elements of it, but both the gender dynamics and the race stuff, I'm not sure. I can't tell sometimes with the race stuff, I'm when it stops referring to people by name and then just by tone, I'm kind of okay, now we're getting clearly feeling into uncomfortable territory, but then also but it's almost everyone that's not of the people he makes friends with are sort of like the bad people. So I'm like, I don't even know. I don't know what to do. And I know that these are older titles, like this is like 100 years old. I know all that, but still it's like, would I rather spend my time reading something else or trying to finish the series? I don't know the answer to that because I'm such a completist. So, but I finished it, yay, and it took me several months. Did not take me several months was The Cuckoo Clock of Doom by R.L. Stine. This is one of the Goosebumps books. I had not realized how many Goosebumps books I had read this year. I looked back and it's 15. 15. Wow. I think at some point, they're really good at sort of like lighter reads. I can read them in sort of like 3 or 4 days of just like a couple of chapters a day, or I read them sometimes I read them in the commercials during live TV, but there's not that much live TV right now, although there is some. And, but this one, I wasn't a fan of it initially. It follows, a guy, and he is really annoyed with his little sister, who does just everything to torment him, but then there is a cuckoo clock that the dad brings home, and it starts to change things, and then they go in very interesting different directions. I was quite surprised at this one, the directions it took, which is, for me, I think what I usually end up feeling like I enjoy the most is when I don't expect what's happening, because they're like kids' horror books. So for that to surprise me, I find like I don't try too hard to like figure it out, but it's just like I just find it sort of enjoyable reads. But it took me a while to warm up to it because he was so down on his sister, and I'm just like, but his sister was like a terror. Like there's no question about it. Everything she did was like really pretty horrible. So, but it was an interesting take, and I'm glad that I read it. I'm on to another one. I'm actually listening to an audiobook, The Night of the Living Dummy 2. It's only available on audio on Overdrive. It's also available on Scribd, and it wasn't available any other way. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that series too, because I was going to get all of the ones that are available physically at the library over the summer, but because of COVID, I decided not to do library trips this summer. So I'm still just working through what's on Overdrive, and I think I have about 10 or 15 more to go. And I don't know whether I should just call it then, or try and keep going, or see how things are going next year and try and finish off the other ones next summer at the library. I'm not quite sure, but I'm so surprised at how many I've read this year, because it has been a lot. I also finished this week Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell, which is illustrated by Faith Erin Hicks, who's Canadian, and this is a graphic novel, and I remember seeing this do the rounds. I think it came out last year, so a lot of people were reading it around Halloween. And Sarah from A Bookish Knitter read it recently, and she mentioned it in her recent wrap-up. And I checked in the library, had it with no hold. So I was like, oh my, I'm going to read this right away. Because it does, like, Pumpkinheads does feel October, but it is very, like, just fall or autumnal, as they say. I had never heard that word until, like, 2 years ago, until I did the autumnal readathon. I was like, what is that? What does that mean? It's autumn-ish. Anyway, I usually say fall. I don't know if that's a Canadian thing. Anyway, so this follows two friends who work at a pumpkin patch, which is which is almost like an amusement park level. Like there's so many different things. And on their last night of working at the pumpkin patch, and they're going to go away to university. So they've been working there together for years. And this is not only the last night of the season, it's the last night that they will be working there. So it was a lot of fun, adventurous spirit, contemporary, and I really enjoyed it. It was a really nice, fun, light, but also like heartfelt, cozy read. So that was really, really fun. On to what I am currently reading. These are so different from each other. Okay, so first up, I am reading One Game at a Time, My Journey from Small Town Alberta to Hockey's Biggest Stage by... Okay. I didn't practice this ahead of time. Harnarayan Singh. This is Canadian, and it follows the author it's written by the author. It's always written by the author. It's a nonfiction book about a guy who does hockey night in Canada I think it's in Punjabi, and YouTube suggested a clip of this this for me, and I watched it, not of the book, but of him talking to hockey players and getting them to try and speak in Punjabi. And so I was like, what is this? And so I watched it, and then it ended up, I think, being a promo for the book, or I saw the book somewhere. Anyway, I am really, really enjoying this, like really sincerely enjoying this, and I'm very early on in it. I think I'd finished some nonfiction. Oh, it would work for nonfiction November. I've actually finished 3 nonfiction books so far this month, which is great. My goal is 4. I don't know if I'll be able to finish this in 2 weeks, but maybe. Anyway, early days in this. Really enjoying it. Still in the sort of like it's a memoir, so it's still in the early stages of talking about his parents and his grandparents and growing up. So still in those stages, but yeah, really enjoying it. So yeah, and then I'm also completely different tone. I am reading this bind up of Harlequin Blaze, Heating Up the Holidays, a hunky holiday collection. So this is a bind up of 3 holiday romance stories, and I'm currently reading the Jill Shalvis one. I can't remember what it's called. And then, because I think I realized a while ago during one of the romance reading hours, we were talking about how Blaze has gone, and so sad that it's just gone. It was my favorite Harlequin line for sure. Other than that, I like Nocturne a lot, which is also gone, and I like historicals. Those are my 3 favorites. But I realized with Blaze is, oh my gosh, there are hundreds, if not more, that I haven't read. So I just went to the oldest I can find on the library. And this one's from December, I think 2008 maybe, and it is the first in a bind up of 6 books. This is a 3-book novella. They used to do 6 books, and they split it into 3 and 3. But anyway, so I just went as far back as I could, and I'm just gonna start reading them. Because there's tons to enjoy, and like I'm sure I will find authors that I enjoy along the way. I have read a Jill Shalvis before, but it was I think it was a standalone. I haven't read any of her series, but so far the one that I'm reading is about a woman who is a firefighter and a guy who is an EMT, and I'm loving it. I'm only a couple chapters in, and I'm loving it. So I'm like, there are lots of Blazes to enjoy, so I'm just going to work through these. If I don't finish all of the holiday ones by the new year, I might skip ahead to January or something, or I might not. I don't know, but that's my idea. So, and I think I might also do that with some of the historicals, because I think it would be a fun and easy way to try out a bunch of the different historical periods if I go through the different Harlequin bind-ups. Because on the library, the bind-ups are 3 books for the Harlequin historicals. They do 2 3-book bind-ups a month. And I'm like, and so I just did the same thing. I just went to the oldest that I could find, and I think 2 of them had, one I had read, yay, and then the other 2 had prerequisites, or they had like the Harlequin Undone, which were novellas, and I read the novellas. I can't remember what they called, the Notorious. No, can't remember. Anyway, but I read the 2 novellas in the past couple weeks, so I can also jump into the other ones that I can't remember. One was Carol Mortimer, and the other one is I think it's Sarah Mallory. So, but I keep on seeing it as Susan Mallory because she's such a huge romance author. So anyway, so that's my idea. So I'm just going to go to the oldest for both the Blazes and the Harlequin historicals that the library has, and just start reading from there. And because, yeah, I think it's just like, like I like doing a lot of projects, and I have another idea for projects, especially with romance novels. But like right now, I'm like, I don't want to organize something. So this is just an easy way. Just go to the oldest, start reading, and see what happens. So that's what I'm doing there. And then I'm also just currently working on my currently reading, which I think is down to 29. I have been having this habit in the past little while of finishing 2 things and starting 2 things a day. But like, mind you, I'm finishing like 80-page Canadian poetry, or Harlequin Undones, which are like 50, 60-page romance novellas and graphic novels and stuff like that. But I have been finishing The Warlord of Mars. That was huge. It was a big win. I have it takes me a long time to read those. They're very Although I love the adventurous spirit and the vocabulary is pretty amazing. But it's a little dry. It's a little dry. So anyway, that is what I have been reading recently. Let me know, what have you been reading this recently? Are you starting to plan December? I feel like it snuck up like very, very quickly. All of a sudden, like November seems like it's gone so quickly. So December will be soon. But not yet. We still have like a week and a half. Time goes by so quickly. All right, there you go. That is what I am reading. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, and I don't know what videos I have upcoming, but hopefully it's something interesting. I can't remember what it is, but it will be something. I'm recording stuff, so there will be stuff. Thank you so much for watching.